Democrats picked up seats in both the State House and the State Senate, and with us today are two new faces. Freshly elected on Tuesday, State Senator-elect Alex Bergstein, who defeated one of the more powerful Republicans in the Senate, Scott France, and State Representative Matt Blumenthal, who picked up the seat opened up by William Tong when he was elected Attorney General. So we thank you both for being on the program, and congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
We'll begin with you, State Senator Bergstein. What did you really account to your victory as you look back at it? Why did voters decide that they wanted to get rid of a long-time state senator and put a new one in?
Well, I think voters wanted a positive plan for Connecticut with actual concrete solutions, and that's what I put forth. So I did not, because I am not a partisan politician. I don't believe in labels. I don't believe in one-party rule or any sort of partisanship. So I just focused my campaign entirely on constructive dialogue and real solutions for the state.
And Representative-elect Blumenthal, you were in a kind of a Democratic district. It was held by Representative Tong for a while. But were you surprised by the scope of the victory by Democrats that night?
I would say I was surprised by the scope, but not that we were victorious. I think the number one thing that is the lesson of this election is that there was tremendous energy, not just in the electorate, but in terms of community volunteers, in terms of recruiting great candidates. And my district is actually a very moderate district. William Tong was the first person to hold it from the Democratic Party in over 100 years. And he held on to it, but he had some tough races. And we ran a race that was built all around a really aggressive and sophisticated field campaign. We had the advantage of having a lot of terrific community volunteers, especially women, who came forward and helped us make those face-to-face connections and talk about policy in a way that really pushed us over the edge.
What do you say to those who might say, you know, with a Democratic governor, is just going to be more tax and spend, policies out there? What's your response to that?
My response is the same thing I said on the campaign trail, which is I will not raise taxes. In fact, I had a very specific plan for tax reform, which includes eliminating the estate and gift tax, lowering the individual income tax in a gradual and responsible way so we don't spike the deficit, and also lowering the corporate tax rate so we can be more competitive.
What do you think about tolls? Because you're a border town.
I am entirely in favor of tolls, but for a very specific reason, because what we need to do is create public-private partnerships so that we take the public good and harness private sector talent and private sector funding to advance the public good. So tolls are the logical way to finance major infrastructure transformation.
Ned Lamont has only said he wants tolls for trucks. Do you support that, or do you think everybody should pay tolls?
So I think tolls on trucks only is a good start. I've been in favor of also having a tolling program that gets revenue from the 40% of drivers who come from out of state, because we are currently on the hook for essentially 100% of our state transportation funding. I think we should be shifting a fair portion of that burden to out-of-state drivers and trucks. Trucks is a good start. I think we do need to be careful about additionally burdening Connecticut drivers. And so I think that we should be incorporating some sort of offset or discounts in a way that will not additionally burden Connecticut drivers, especially middle-class people and commuters.
The Hartford Courant editorial this weekend is critical of the leadership because it's not changing. It's going to be the same in both chambers right now for Democrats and Republicans. How can you be an agent of change knowing that it's led by the same people? And the Courant, as they wrote, said they haven't accomplished anything.
Oh. Well, let's just put it this way. We are change makers. That is our role. So I don't take anything as a given. We went to a lunch yesterday with our fellow Senate Dems, and I asked a lot of questions. And I intend to put forth fresh ideas and not accept that this is how it's always been done, and therefore that's how it will continue. We can rewrite almost anything.
Is that to say that if there's no real change, that you might want to see a change in leadership down the road?
I'm not making any sort of predictions. I think that just by infusing the system with new energy and perspective and ideas that really cut across all political lines, we will see change happen.
And Representative-elect Blumenthal, are you happy with the current status quo in the leadership?
Well, I think the current leadership has proven itself. I don't think they've done perhaps as much as we would like, but I don't think it's fair to say they've done nothing. I mean, I will say that I'm here to represent my district, and I'm here to do what I think is the best interest of the state of Connecticut. So if the leadership proposes something that's in line with that, I will support it, and if it's not, then I won't. And I think it's just that simple.
What should we do with this big, giant budget deficit that the new governor is going to inherit? Any suggestions for him?
Oh, yes. I have an actual plan. So It starts with pension reform. We need to restructure the pension system so that we can take our liabilities way down and have a permanent solution to this unfunded pension liability crisis. So anybody can read my article in Bloomberg, which gives you an indication of what I've proposed. It's called the Shared Risk Plan. We also do need to install tolls so that we can bring in new sources of revenue that are not our tax dollars. And then back to the tax reform that I spoke about before, if we start reforming the tax system in a way that incentivizes people to stay in Connecticut and businesses to come here, then we'll start seeing real economic growth.
Mr. Blumenthal.
I think there's already some creative but also tested ideas that are out there. The Pension Sustainability Commission's work has revealed some of them. One of them is called the Legacy Obligation Trust. You basically take some state assets that aren't essential to state functions, put them in a trust, have it professionally managed, put that in the pension funds. And as we all know, the pension liabilities are the biggest driver of our cyclical budget deficits. So I think we need to look for creative, non-tax increasing ways to increase revenue. I agree that we need tolls because transportation is absolutely the key to Connecticut's future economic success. And right now, we have a lot of ground to make up in improving our transportation system.
State Representative-elect Matt Blumenthal and State Senator-elect Alex Bergstein, we thank you so much for being in the program, and congrats again on your victories.
Thanks for having us.
And when we come back, we'll talk with the Republicans about what they can do to do better next time. And we welcome your comments on social media. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.